This week, D.C. lawmakers failed to pass the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Act, which would have banned abortions after 20 weeks of pregnancy. That's the point at which the unborn child is known to feel pain. But what about before 20 weeks? And when does human life actually begin? Brooke Stanton is founder and CEO of Contend Projects, a nonpartisan science education organization that seeks to educate Americans on these fundamental questions of human life. Welcome, Brooke. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
You say the question of when life begins is, quote, settled science, but that many people, even pro-life people, don't know that. Explain that for us.
So yes, when a human being begins to exist, as a single-cell organism, is an essential and relevant scientific fact that everyone can and should know. It is not a mystery or a subjective, political, religious, or personal matter. It is an objective, empirical, and modern scientific fact of human embryology, the biological science of human embryology, the only science that specializes in when a human being begins to exist in his or her early development, particularly that of the human embryo. And this science has been known and documented for over 100 years. And it was even formally instituted 75 years ago by a secular government organization that is part of the National Institutes of Health and has come to be known as the Carnegie Stages of Human Embryonic Development. And the Carnegie Stages document that a new, whole, individual, and living human being begins to exist at the beginning of the process of fertilization, at first contact between two mere cells, between the oocyte and the sperm. Science knows this. This is an empirical scientific fact. And in human sexual reproduction, first contact also initiates the continuum of human life. And that is a biological fact that states at any point in time, from the very beginning of the process of human reproduction until death, there is the same whole, individual, integrated, living human being.
Hey, Brooke.
Yes, go ahead.
What has happened in our country that makes people think that the origin of human life is up for debate, as if it's a political issue and not an issue of science and medicine?
That's a great question. So the science has been obscured for so long that people really do not know that there's something to know. It is just so entrenched, this idea that it's a mystery and that science will never know. And so today, I think we really need to reintroduce this science. It goes back to the Roe decision, truly the science denial in Roe, and the idea that science didn't know, and the kind of conflating the philosophical and the scientific idea in Roe, of the scientific idea of when a human being begins to exist, and the philosophical idea that when a human person begins to exist, really has kind of confused the issue the last 45 years. And obviously there are serious consequences to this science denial. So the recent vote is just another example of politics and personal opinions driving public policy instead of science and data. Why aren't lawmakers using the basic, accurate, objective scientific facts about when a human being begins to exist and the continuum of human life? Like, why are we trying to identify some arbitrary starting point? Science has already identified the starting point. We really need to rely upon and depend upon this science like we do so many other areas of science.
So you're saying that there was a science denial in Roe versus Wade. Why is it so important to you to educate pro-life Americans on the science surrounding human reproduction?
How can you possibly make an informed decision about so many issues without knowing when a human being begins to exist? So I guess there's two things. This is a matter of basic science education, basic science literacy. Why aren't we learning about human organisms in 7th grade when we're learning about living and non-living organisms? The fact that you began to exist, Mark, as a single cell human being, a whole human being who is one cell big, that's pretty remarkable. That's awesome science. Why are we celebrating this scientific fact? Why aren't we teaching this scientific fact? So on one hand, it's just a matter of basic science literacy. On the other hand, it is critical. It empowers informed decisions. about related matters on a personal level and, more broadly speaking, in terms of public policies and laws. So it's essential. So many things depend upon knowing this science. Go ahead.
And let's talk a little bit about your organization, Contend Projects. How does it educate people?
So Contend works with a science team. So we work with scientific experts in human biochemistry, human genetics, and of course, most importantly, human embryology. Because the experts in human embryology and the biological science of human embryology are academically credentialed PhD human embryologists. So we work with these scientists, and we really try to simplify and kind of make it more engaging and fun and positive, this information that is so vital. So we work with them really to make sure that we don't lose anything in the translation. When we're creating video shorts and science quizzes, and we have a robust website that has so much information, and we have social media posts. Whenever we're trying to provide this really rich content, we want to make sure we don't lose anything when we're simplifying it. So we have a website where we have quizzes and engaging graphics and science guides, and we actually do briefings to organizations. And we really try to make it relatable because it's so important. So we try to make it simple, accessible, and relevant for everyone. This is for non-science people, and that's really important.
All right. Brooke Stanton, the CEO of the nonpartisan science education organization, Contend Projects. Thank you so much for your time today, Brooke. We appreciate your insights.
Thank you, Mark.